Hello there, this is DBT and this Art of Runes. And alright, let's continue talking about Asphalt Legends. And today, I want to focus on the quote-unquote fixes that Gameloft applied in the game since the start of the current season, which actually began just yesterday. And these were changes that were mentioned in the patch notes. I made a video on this topic before, but now that the season started, we get to see them. I will also briefly mention the Spotlight event because there's some cool stuff over there, but before I get into any of this, if you enjoy my content, you know what to do. Like and subscribe, this is free and it helps, so why not? Do it for DBT. Now, as I just mentioned, this is not a video of doing a breakdown of the Spotlight. Let me know in the comments if you want me to do that. But really, I just wanted to have a look at the fact that there are definitely a bunch of cars featured this time around. The main ones being Class S, of course, the Ford Mustang RTR Spec 5 and the Asphalt Owl. Neither of these cars require keys, so because this is going to be a long spotlight, you're going to be able to get 2 blueprints at least every day. When the event launched, it had some ones of blueprints, but apparently that has been fixed, and now you only encounter 2 blueprints or higher. And well, yeah, that's definitely an opportunity to maybe make some progress on any of these cars if you're missing blueprints on them. The overall shape of the event is kind of what we expect, since this is kind of a rerun of the HoloLive event. So yeah, let me know in the comments if you want me to make a video on this topic alone. I don't think it's necessary, but still, let me know. But like I said, really what I want to focus on is these things that Gameloft said that they were going to be fixing. Like I said, this is something that was mentioned in the patch notes. I put the link in the top right if you want to watch my video where I was talking about it. And I did voice my concerns over there, but over here, I'm going to paint them a little bit more clear. Now, in the patch notes, they did mention that they were made aware very clearly that they had quote-unquote missed the mark when it came to the rewards in multiplayer. Because in case you don't know, and don't mind me being only in Bronze League, I'll explain later, but in case you don't know, depending on the position that you finish the multiplayer series at, you can get some rewards, again, based on the position. Now, you can see that over here when it says top 25,000. Well, the thing is that before the last updates to the game, not the current one, but the one before, instead, we would only get rewards at about top 200, no, what was it? 2,000, yeah, 2,500, there you go. 2,500 what would be the minimum reward you would get, whereas before in the seasons and for the last year or two, it was in top 10,000. Now, they did say in the patch notes that they were gonna fix that, and not only they returned the top 10,000, they also made available top 25,000. Now, the rewards on tokens are not amazing, and technically speaking, even this was nerfed, because I do believe this was 500 tokens, but still, very early on, you can get 11 packs of Legend League blueprints. Then over here you can get 12, so on and so forth, right? You can see over here some additional rewards, though obviously this requires you to end very high in the season. So this already was fixed. Like I said, there's a bit of a nerf on the rewards. If you were a top 10,000 player, then you only get 300 instead of 500 or however much it was. But still, there's definitely something. There used to be a middle point between 10,000 and 2,500. It used to be 5,000. That was removed. But like I said, at the very least, there's still some stuff that you can get. And at 25,000 players, getting some blueprints for these packs, if you're missing some of these cars, that is not a bad thing. So at the end of the day, this wasn't it fixed, more like tweaked. Because again, they didn't return the previous rewards, but they did improve the fact that now instead of being top 10,000, it can be top 25,000 and you still get some rewards. So that is good. Now, there is something else that was changed. And I'm sorry for the smurfing that I'm gonna do over here. Like you saw, I am in Bronze League in the 2nd season of the entire reset. So I'm gonna be playing against players with pretty not ideal cars. So it's likely I'm gonna get a very good result, but that is actually on purpose. And this has to do specifically with the changes to the ad multipliers. Wow, this race took forever to actually begin, but there we go. So just as a quick overview, in case you're not aware of this, the ad multiplier situation, or at least the multipliers that you would get per race, would be limited or would be capped if at any point in any race you won over 7,500 credits. So if you won a race and you got 7,000 credits, you could get any of the multipliers, right? At times 3, at times 4, times 6, times 8, times 12, even at times 20. So that was pretty neat. And yeah, obviously you were bound to the randomness of it, but you could still get some really, really good multipliers. The problem is that at any point, even any race, whether it was multiplayer or in an event, a special event, whatever it was, if at any point in a race you ended up with a total credit earning of over 7,500 credits, I'm sorry if I said tokens at any point, right? I mean credits. If you ended up with over 7,500 500 credits, then the multiplier would instantly become a ×3. Now, this was very annoying because obviously it would make it so that you could not get good multipliers in certain races, but it was especially annoying when in multiplayer you were technically punished by finishing in first place, because in first place, no matter the league that you are on, specifically I'm talking MP1, in first place you're gonna get over 7,500 credits. So you finish in first place and you're gonna get a terrible ad multiplier. But if you finish in second place and you get I think like 5,000 credits, or however much it is in second place, then you can get a much better multiplier. You can get more credits. So if what you were doing was aiming for credits, there was no reason to finish in first, because you would get punished. Well, I'm glad to report that this has been changed. All right, so I finished in first place over there. Look at how many credits I'm gonna earn. 7,900, considering my 4% increase because of VIP and whatnot. And there it is. ×4. Now granted, ×4 is not that much better than ×3. Once again, this whole thing is bound with RNG. But in some tests that I was doing earlier, you can actually end up getting, I found even ×6 here in multiplayer by finishing in first. For example, in where I was testing it on my Switch account, this is my global account, by the way, that's why I barely played any multiplayer at all, amongst other reasons. But in my Switch account, where I do play more often, I am in, I believe, Platinum or something over there. And for winning a race, I get 9,400 credits by finishing in first place. Well, I got a ×6 win, which made it into a total amount of credits that I got of almost 57,000, which is actually pretty good. Now, that is not to say that I got the ×6 often, but I did get a few. Just to give you an example, I did a bunch of races, and in first, I'm gonna tell you the list of the races that I did. I got one race and I finished in first, I got a ×3. Next race was a first place, I got ×6. Next race was a first place, I got ×3. Next race was a first place, I got ×6. Next race was a second place, I got ×6. Next race was first, I got ×6. Next one was first, got ×3. And next one was first place, and I got ×4. So you can see that definitely, obviously, there's still a bunch of ×3 and not even ×4, but the times that you get a ×6 multiplier, hey, that's pretty good. So I don't know if you can find higher multipliers by getting a high credit gain in a race, but at least even a ×6, it's literally twice better than the ×3 that it used to be forced at was. But now let's talk about what was FIXEDn't. That is something that they say that they fixed, but actually didn't get fixed. Now over here, this is part of the patch notes, and I'll read it to you as they wrote them down. Multiplayer filters. We also heard your thoughts on the current filters and have also readjusted them. The new filters will kick in at the start of our next multiplayer event next season, meaning right now, and we'll take a more nuanced approach to determine what cars should be included in each, instead of basing it purely off a car's rank. This will hopefully lead to more fair matchups and mitigate the impact of Evo cars. All right, so they're saying that they're definitely looking at to not just doing the matchup through rank. Well, let's have a look. So again, we're having a look at my global account where I don't have necessarily a lot of cars upgraded, so don't mind the bad garage levels. But let's have a quick look at what changes did they do, and some of the places that I'm rather familiar with how the matchmaking was done or the cars that were being matched together. It's a little bit around gold and platinum, right? So they said that they're not doing the matchups only through rank alone. All right, then let's have a look. How about we go into platinum, where we're gonna encounter cars of ranks of very high ranks, like, well, considerably high, right? 4,000s, right? Well, we got a very powerful Class B car, a very powerful Class B car, and oh, we still have the Class C car over here. The same thing that I pointed out earlier, and that is this feedback that we have provided to GameLoft a bunch of time, and when I say we, I mean the content creators, that this, just putting a Class C car of rank 4,000 against any Class B car of rank 4,000, it's absolutely backwards. Now, we had seen a better example a little bit later on, in the form of the Vanda Electric's Dendrobium, which, by the way, obviously I don't have upgraded, but you can see over here the rank of 4,000, almost 41,000, being put in the same league as a Nissan Z GT4, which at the maximum rank should be around 4,000 as well, a little over 4,000. I do not see a change here. They say that they are doing a more nuanced approach and this and that. Those are words. I'm not seeing the actions here. Really, it's exactly the same case that we had seen before. How does this make any sense? I remember putting in the thumbnail where I was complaining about this, the comparison between putting the Corvette ZR1, you know, an Evo car, in the same league as a Class C Porsche 718 Cayman GT4 Club Sport. This hasn't been changed at all. So where were the changes? I don't know. They're nowhere to be found. Okay, there is one change that I did notice, which helps a little bit in a way, and that has to do specifically with the now super spammy, where is it? Ferrari SF90 Stradale. It was put in Champion 2, where it's gonna be matched against a bunch of other classes cars that can be considerably strong and competitive. I do believe that this was in Champion 3, put somewhere over here, and it was absolutely dominating. It was ridiculous. So that at least was adjusted, but this doesn't actually fix the issue, because at the end of the day, this remains to be still as strong a car as it has always been since it was made into Evo. But at least now it gets matched against cars that in theory should be a little bit more competitive. Still crazy acceleration and everything, but at least it's racing against some cars that are way faster and so have some other attributes. So in a way, I still see this as a change, a slightly positive change, but it's the only one that I've noticed. And in case you're curious, you can filter also by Evo over here, and then you can see where each one of them are. But yeah, look at that. I mean, yeah, they're still spread all around as per usual, like I'd already shown you, the ZR1 versus a bunch of Class C cars. Not only this is Class A, 2 classes above, but it's Class A Evo. You know, this is absolute nonsense. There was basically no change to multiplayer. And look, I understand that Gameloft, it's not gonna be able to fix this from one season to another, especially in a hotfix, in a patch. I understand that, but what I wish they did was to not promise things that they haven't done yet. Oh, they did say that, no, we're making some blah 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 into the Evo and stop doing the matchups of the cars through the rank. It's still the same thing. I don't see any change. The matchups of the cars are still being done through the rank here in MP1. So I don't see any change over here. If they had said, okay, we have made one adjustment to start fixing the location of some of the Evo cars. Okay, well, they didn't promise anything else, so let's see how that plays. But the fact that they're over here trying to sell us, no, we did some changes, some fixes, and the reality is that there's no change at all, I don't know, that just sounds like snake oil. And I know, I sound very ranty, but the reality is that I have plenty of reasons to be upset about this, and I don't know, I might be trying to influence you over here, probably not, maybe I am, I don't know. But I just think that more people should be mad about this, because we really need to tell Gameloft that they're doing this wrong. Now, why did I jump into the SF90 Stradale? Because I want to show you something else that I've complained about for a while. Now, you see the rank of the SF90 Stradale, and that is because I unequipped all of the parts, Now, don't mind me, I just equipped a bunch of random stuff, but just so that you can see how the rank increases when it's evoed out. So, alright, let's assume that this is a good setup, you know, I made it a light car, or whatever it is that this car needs in order to be considered a good car for multiplayer. Well, where is it placed now? Well, it's still placed in the exact same place, in the same location. Why? Because Gameloft still has not acknowledged the complaint that a car that is Evo should not be competing against other car, or where the car without Evo would be competing. Let's give you an easier example. Well, we're back into the Gold League over here, right? And let's have a look at these cars that I have around here. I have a couple of cars at Gold. We got a Lamborghini Diablo GT with a rank of about 3,800 on Class C. We got a Class B car of a rank of about 3,800. Okay. Then we got a Class A car of a rank of about 3,800, reaching 3,900. I guess all of these are closer to 3,900. All right, so first things first, this clearly shows that doesn't matter that they're different classes, they're just still doing these matchups or the pairings through rank alone. No consideration of anything else. All right, that is already bad. But you know what's worse? Again, 3,800, right? Well, look at that. I just applied some Evo parts, and now the car's at a rank of 4,500. That makes it over 600 points over ranked for what it's going to be competing against. Forgetting about the class differences of performance, we're talking not only class, but also straight up rank and performance thanks to Evo. Why is this car still being matched up over here? When it was without Evo, I'm relatively okay with it being here because it's in theory against cars of similar performance. But now that it's on Evo, instead of being here in Gold 1, maybe it should be put against other cars that do have a rank of about 4,500. So how about now it gets matched? I don't know, let's say Jesus Christ, where would we find it? Somewhere over here, maybe that's too much. But you know what I'm saying? Match it somewhere else, somewhere higher, where its performance is gonna be a little bit closer to the performance of cars of higher rank. The fact that it's still in gold wherever this thing is found, in gold 2, or where was it? The fact that it's still found over there, this is the part that I'm so absolutely baffled that Gameloft still hasn't seen how this is absolutely broken. And this applies for every single Evo. When the car doesn't have Evo applied, it's relatively fine where it's placed. But the moment that it has Evo, it becomes so incredibly overpowered that it makes no sense for it to be there. Why has this not been fixed yet? All they did was move the SF90 and they were like, yeah, there you go. Now, to be fair, Gameloft did say that they're going to be looking into fixing it and getting feedback, and that's why I'm making this video, to try to point out all of these things that I absolutely believe that are completely wrong. And if you guys agree with me, I would advise you or suggest to you to please provide this feedback to Gameloft in the most respectable way possible, all right? Respectful, that's what I meant to say. It's no good when you just go, oh, Gameloft, you're a bunch of and you. No, that's not good. It's better to say, Gameloft, the way that you are doing these matchups, it's wrong because the performance of this, that's how you provide feedback. So if you agree with any of my points, or if you have your own points, do please provide this feedback to Gameloft. It matters to tell them how we believe all of this is wrong. Now, I want to briefly talk about, not briefly, really, more in depth, I want to talk about the situation with the quote-unquote ad ticket change that applies to all of the platforms that don't have advertisement. Now, I know that a lot of you guys, or some portion of you guys that are watching this video right now, you might be playing in platforms where where ads are available, so this might not be directly important to you, but I would still advise you to stick around to have a listen, because, well, any of these changes could easily one day just affect everybody in some way or another, maybe not with the ad tickets, but in the way that Gameloft is absolutely screwing a bunch of players, let's put it that way. And that is specifically because, again, as a quick overview, in case you're not aware, there are a bunch of consoles, or a bunch of platforms rather, where ads are not available either by policy of the platform or whatever reason that there is. For example, very relevant to me is the Nintendo Switch, where I have my main account. Stop pushing me, buddy. Where I have my main account, and over there are no ads. So that means that in theory, I do not get any ad multipliers, or at least that's how it begun. How it was at some point in the past. We didn't get any ad multipliers at all, and that was terrible because obviously we were going to fall behind simply because we would get less credits than all of the versions with that. So what Gameloft did was give us the quote-unquote ad tickets. They would give us 20 ad tickets a day, and so long as we had those tickets available, then we would still get, after a race, a pop-up saying like, hey, get this multiplier of times whatever, you know, still random, and in that way you would get more credits. Once again, you were limited to only 20 of this a day, but in that way you could still get some additional credits. In the same way that over here we get this, oh look at that, a good one. It would over here down here would say like 20 left or however many, right? But now in the patch notes they said, you know what? We overestimated how many ads people are watching a day, and therefore we're gonna remove the amount of ad tickets that people that don't have ads get. Now, once again, just listen to what they're saying. Because one group of people acted in a certain way, we're gonna create an issue for a different group of people. They're not saying, because the Switch players didn't use all of their ad tickets a day, we're gonna reduce them. No, they're saying, because someone else other than the Switch players use or watch less ads, we're gonna give less ads to Switch players. How does that make any sense? It doesn't. And the worst part is that even there, the logic is flawed as far as I'm concerned. And I will give you some example. What I believe it's a very, a very clear example as to why I think people are not using as many ads in the platforms where they do have ads. And that has to do, once again, with Gameloft's terrible decisions when it comes to credits. But alright, we'll get to that in a second. For now, I just want once again to reiterate that all of the players from all of the platforms that don't have ads are being punished because other players that are not related to all of us, the ones being affected, on the way that they behave. That is absolutely ridiculous. Hey, John, I'm gonna pay you less. Why? Because Jake over there wants to be paid less. Wait, what? Why should that affect me? Well, I don't know, but it will affect you. MS Paint jump scare! Yeah, that's right, I'm bringing Microsoft Paint just to give you the example of what I'm talking about. So you can see over here that we're gonna have two groups of players, right? We're gonna have the mobile players that do have advertisements, and we're gonna have the platforms or the players of the platforms that don't have advertisement, right? So these are the two players. Now, over here you see what it's supposed to be a pizza with a bunch of slices, and both of them get pizza. The pizza is gonna be the advertisement that each one of these groups get in order to get the credit multiplier, right? So what GameLoft is saying is, because to mobile players, we provide a full pizza, but they actually don't eat the full pizza all the time, well, let's make so that all of these other players get less pizza. So how does that look? All right, according to GameLoft, what they're saying is that players are not eating this pizza on this side, right? They're only eating this much, so therefore, we're like, okay, all of these people on this side that do eat the entire pizza all of the time, well, it is not fair that they get that pizza because these guys over here don't always eat it. These guys don't eat it. These guys will get punished. Do you see the gap in logic over there? It's a little bit ridiculous. Now, here is the problem as well. And here's my theory as to why I think, and personally why, because remember, I also play on an account where I do have ads, why I don't watch a ton of ads all of the time. And that has to do with the fact that the ads are bad. Why? I already told you how there's a bunch of races, depending on if you're doing multiplayer and whatnot, where you're not gonna get a good multiplier anyway, right? That you're gonna get the ×3 multiplier. That is bad already. But let's say that I'm doing a race in which I do get good multipliers or bad multipliers. All right, well, I'm gonna get maybe a good multiplier over here. Oh, and I got another good multiplier over here. That's pretty dope. Oh, but then I also am gonna get some mid multipliers, and sometimes I'm just gonna get absolutely terrible ones. Well, of course, I'm gonna be focusing mostly on watching ads, wasting my time in watching an ad, on watching for the good rewards. Therefore, despite that there's an entire pizza offered to me, I'm only gonna get a couple of slices because I'm gonna get the good ones. Well, is that an issue of, how can I explain this? Maybe the way to word it would be like, is that a problem with the players that, oh, they're just picky, they don't wanna eat the entire pizza? Or does it have to do with the fact that most of the pizza tastes bad? I think it's more that a lot of players are not gonna be willing to watch a lot of the ads simply because, well, they're not very good. Now, here is the problem. Now, what GameLoft is saying, okay, since they only are watching a little bit of the ads, to these players on the right side, we're gonna remove the ads altogether until they only have these 3 slices of pizza. Well, guess what's gonna happen over here? Does that mean that we're gonna get mostly the good slices? No, of course not. It means we're gonna get some good slices, some mid slices, and some straight up terrible slices as well. Do you see how this is absolutely ridiculous? That at the end of the day, still gonna affect us, the players of all of these platforms, a lot? It's absolutely ridiculous. And it's not only the Switch players, it's the PlayStation players, the Xbox players, the Steam players. I believe there's also Epic players, I'm not 100% sure there, the Nintendo Switch players, and all of us are being punished for an issue that GameLoft created on this side. That is the part that is absolutely ridiculous to me. The fact that people are not watching as many ads because the ads are terrible. My investment on time watching your ad gives me a tiny payout, so I'm not gonna do it until it's a really good one. And GameLoft, what they're getting from this is like, well, people are just not choosing to watch too many ads, so let's give these other guys less ads to watch. How does that make any sense? Now, in a previous video, we already talked about the nerf of the rewards, specifically of the packs that you can get here in multiplayer, if I could find them, of course. Yeah, because I was talking about MP1. But yeah, I've already talked about the nerf to the rewards in all of these packs. I've said on how all of these cars are common cars, and there's going to be a ton of people who are not going to be very interested on getting any of these because they already have these cars. Again, I understand that there's going to be players who are missing a bunch of these cars and they're going to be like, oh man, I'm going to get some blueprints for the F8 Tribute and for the Porsche Carrera and all of that. But for a lot of players, this is completely useless, right? All of these rewards are completely useless. So that ties back to my idea and what I said earlier, that I've not really been playing a lot of multiplayers, especially even in my Switch account now, because what reasons do I have to play multiplayer? Per race, I get a tiny amount of credits if I finish in 4th or lower. Because in case you don't know, the amount of credits that you get in first, second, and 3rd place are relatively good, the rest are bad. Sorry for the terrible resolution of this image, but this should give you a bit of an idea. These are numbers that I gathered some time ago when it comes to the credits that you get per your position, and I think this was in Platinum League at some point. In first place, I got 8,600 credits, right? 8,600 credits. And I put that as relative value of 100% because it's the maximum that you can get. In second place, I get 5,600, which compared to the first place is only 65% of the credits that I would get. In third place, I get 4,500 credits, which is 52%. So at third place, I'm already getting half of what I would get, about half of what I would get in first place. That's fair enough. The first three places, depending on the position, they're gonna get the best rewards. But look how 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th, they get exactly the same amount of credits. All of these credits are useless. 1,700 credits are useless. It doesn't matter if I get a multiplier of times 8, that's still barely gonna be any amount of credits. So if I'm gonna be getting barely any credits for finish a race in 4th or lower, then on top of that, especially on the Switch or in any of these platforms, any of these that I get are still gonna be limited to how many times I can do the multiplier, which already was limited to 20, but now it's limited to 8. It's limited further in that way. Then what do I play multiplayer for? There's no reason for me to play it. The rewards in the race itself are bad. The credit rewards are bad. The packs that I get for competing constantly are bad. Then I don't even get more credit multipliers. Those are bad as well, and they're limited. You see what I'm saying? It's a lot of different things that make me think, why do I want to play multiplayer? I don't. I really don't. And right now that on my Switch account for today, I finished with my ad tickets, I really don't want to play multiplayer. Because the final rewards are gonna be bad. I can't get any credits. And even if I get a first place and I get 8,000, 9,000, how many first places am I gonna get in one sitting? 3, 4, 5, 6 wins? And I get 60,000 credits for it? That's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. There's no reason for me to want to play multiplayer. And like I said, this is feedback that I already provided to Gameloft. And I will make still a video of all of the feedback that I provided to Gameloft. Very explained, with each one of my points explained and all of that. And well, hopefully one day they will listen to me. But for now, given the situation, I don't know. I just really don't see the points. Let me know in the comments what you think. Do you agree with me on any of these points? Do you disagree with me on any of these points? I would love to hear what you guys think, because at the end of the day, in all of the feedback that I get here in the video, then I provide to Gameloft and be like, hey, look at this. This is what my community is saying. So yeah, do let me know in the comments what you think about this whole thing. Are you happy, unhappy about any and all of these changes? But anyway, that's where I'm leaving it for today. It ended up being a way longer video, but I really needed to talk rant about this whole thing. Man, this is ridiculous. That's all. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one. Bye-bye.